All right, everyone, welcome to the Silver Lined Relaunch. And this has been a podcast in the making. This one has been, I'm telling you, I feel like I am right now BFF with Emily Thomas, because we've had so many conversations, so many and just little teeny glitches have happened. And this is all part of the relaunch, way that when things happen, you make, limoncello out of lemons. And so we have, and finally we are here now with you. I have gotten to know Emily much better because of all of these new experiences that have happened. And I got to tell you, you are in for a real treat today. And she is somebody that has so much depth, so much dimension, so much of the joie de vivre we always talk about in relaunch, and what I ultimately love to stand for, and my values of, you gotta make things happen. And she has truly made things happen. This episode is brought to you by the Fired Up Entrepreneur Program. And this is a program that we are so proud of. The results have been downright remarkable. And we want to invite you to get a glimpse of what it is like inside this program by inviting you to participate in the Business Boot Camp, which is a 5-day free event, and get involved with this, because the pearls that we're going to be sharing each and every day are going to be the foundation for allowing you to make money, keep the money, grow the money, and strengthen not only your business, but also yourself. So please take advantage of this and join us at our next boot camp. You're listening to the Silver Lined Relaunch, and I'm your host, Hillary DeCesar, award-winning entrepreneur and transitional coach. Each week, I'll invite you to tune into inspirational stories, revealing how you too can turn ordinary experiences into the extraordinary. Feeling stuck? I'll share step-by-step strategies to fuel your ability to experience a life where silver linings are both abundant and possible. Emily,
wow.
welcome. Okay, but what I do,
wow.
Yeah, I know it is a wow. And this is going to be a wow conversation day. We are going to take things every which way. But can you start off by, and this is why I'm not personally introducing you, because you are in the middle of massive relaunches yourself, but give us a little high level on you, and then let's dig in to your relaunch.
Awesome. Well, I'm just flattered, first off, that you introduced me with so much fanfare. Thank you. And, it's one of my favorite things to connect with you. I think we even decided that we're going to be continuing to meet monthly, just to check in and hold space for each other. So I just love you. And I think that the whole, the glitches in the system have been really beneficial for both our ends. They
really have been
so much.
I've truly enjoyed it. Every time I see you on my schedule, I'm like, yes. And then, is it going to work? No, but that's okay.
Exactly. I like it. Making limoncello. Very, very true. So, my name is Emily K. Thomas. I am a business owner, an entrepreneur, a educator, and I have a swimwear brand as well. And over the years as an entrepreneur, I have noticed that really established entrepreneurs end up falling really maxed out a lot of the times, and really constrained by the demands and distractions of running a business. So they can't really decide or know what the right move is next to really up level and grow in their business. So I help people identify their blocks and get energetically aligned so that they can do work that truly lights them up and supports their lifestyle. So that's really, really big for me is building a life that supports us, right? Our lifestyle a business that supports our lifestyle, because I love nice things. I like to travel. I love to eat out at really beautiful restaurants. And noticing that really required me to say, okay, well, how can I create a business that supports that?
I love that.
So
Up
truth be
your
told,
game so that you can do all those fun things that you really, really want to do and
exactly.
and have a career, a business that provides for it. Yes. We
Exactly.
love that.
Yeah. So we all, I think, the moment I started owning the fact like that I love nice things and I love to travel, I really appreciate good stuff and the freedom to be able to book a ticket on a flight. I I decided, this is really a chance to build out a business that supports that, right? And I was so afraid to admit that for so long that, um, that being a soulful entrepreneur it's okay to coexist in the same environment as, somebody who really likes nice things. And the moment I started owning that was when my business really took off. And when I really started just living this really fun lifestyle. I think a lot of times we think that business, or at least I used to think that business meant that we had to be very buttoned up. We had to be very, it's important to be professional, of course. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you really want to make sure that you are in a place that you feel home. And when you do, you start to build and connect with people on a deeper level, and then the business just starts taking off. So what I'm
Can I tell
talking
you
about
how
here,
much can I tell you how much this is resonating? Because I was in the corporate world. I did the grind. I always say, you talk about like, seeding the road. I mean, it was 15-hour days. It was just a lot. It was a grind, truly. But when you do start to craft the lifestyle that you want and what that is for you, the success of your lifestyle, it's absolutely what you need to be leaning into, which is it's great for your company to start to be truly successful, make a lot of money. It is great when you can say, yes, that I do want that. There is nothing bad about that. But I love the spin also of saying, the way I look at it is the more that the Relaunch Co. makes, the more I am serving the people that need it the most. And the more I can do that, and the more I can put processes and different things in place to give me my freedom of creativity and getting out there. Like you, I love to travel. You're in Europe. I was just in Europe. That's
right?
when you actually start to produce higher content, higher, like you really are connecting with your end user, your client, you're delivering more than you ever thought possible because you're living in your own space, in your own goodness. So great.
Absolutely. It's really important that we start to just turn inwards more, and especially in the entrepreneurial space where we think that there's this direction and the specific modality and business models and funnels. And, even in the corporate space where, you have this trajectory of what you're supposed to make and how you're supposed to accelerate your career over a certain amount of time. And we don't turn inwards enough to say, okay, well, what if I do things differently? What if my way is a slightly different and it might work, right? And so really what I do is I help people identify who they are at soul level. What is your energetic framework? If you think about it in the sense of DNA, we each have unique energetic DNA, and we kind of mask that as even as children. Like we're taught certain things to do, certain ways to build a business, certain ways to be a student, certain ways to be a mother, that we start to ignore our inner being, our inner essence. And so I am really passionate about helping people identify who they are at soul level, and really interlace that element of who you are in every part of your life, whether that is through your relationships at home, whether that's in your work, whether that's in your business, whether that's in your finances, or whether that's in a relationship with yourself, right? So it's really about creating the life that you want by understanding your energetic DNA. And the byproduct of utilizing your unique framework is abundance in all forms, because
Okay,
this is
so
how
hold
you're
on. So
designed to
hold
live.
on before we keep going. All right. So
Okay.
a lot of people probably right now are like, whoa, this is really going woohoo out there. I got to tell you, when I first heard, I was listening, and I eat this stuff up. I love it. But in this scenario, don't think of it as like woohoo. I want you all to be thinking of who knew? Who knew about this? Because one of the things that Emily did is she said, hey, I'd like to take you through the process. And I'm like, okay. And you know how much I love going through other people's, processes. And I always find out more about myself. But when she talked about this turn inward, that to some, you have it. Sometimes it's tough to be able to do that. Sometimes it's difficult to understand, how do you do that? And I really loved when I went through this with Emily, that she was able to, through her intuitiveness, through her tools that she uses, to tap into something that was uniquely me, uniquely my, I think, DNA, unique DNA, and open my eyes to a couple of things that I hadn't really thought about. And where I liked where you went with this is that then you said it's not just about telling me these things, but then you gave me action steps that I needed to go out and do. So can you walk through this process that you took me through with, which is, turning inward? And then you asked some of the questions you asked me were really thought provoking. So can you share that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So the process, I have a couple of different ways of working with an individual. But essentially, the process is me really explaining and understanding who you are at soul level. So before we actually get into a session, I am doing what I call energetic research. So it sometimes can go into like the 3-4 hour mark, because I have this moral code within me to really get as accurate and as much information as possible for all of my clients. And so what that means is, when I am in your, what we call Akashic record, is I get to know who you are at soul level and what your energetic DNA is, so that we can really alchemize these instances in your life and your subconscious behavior patterns into ways that will really serve you and help you move what we call stuck or blocked energy, so that you can receive more abundant flow of life force energy. So in a session, it's really about helping you understand who you are at soul level, giving you that information that I've received about who you are. And then we go into the second piece of our conversation, which is really about understanding all the blocks and restrictions that have shown up in your profile. And these blocks and restrictions can be simply created by some negative patterns of choice. And the question then is, what is a negative pattern of choice? Well, a negative pattern or choice is you actually going against your divine makeup, going against that energetic DNA. So it's completely individualized. Meaning,
Can you give us an example of that? What would be an example
100%.
of let's go? Yeah.
Yes. An example of that, let's say if somebody has the energetic DNA of a divine communicator. So they are really good at communicating, meaning this person or this individual should really be on stages. They should be communicating with their words in some way, shape, or form, whether that's a songwriter, whether that's an author, whether that, they're doing screenwriting, they're a copywriter, they're on stage speaking, whatever that looks like. So if, for instance, let's say if they were a child at the age of 12 and they spoke out against their father, this is just hypothetical, and their father spoke to them and said, no, your ideas are rubbish. This is not something that you should ever speak about again. And then it creates a belief in their head that they are not worthy of speaking. So every time that they want to speak and they have an idea that they want to tell someone about, that alarm goes off in their head saying, no, 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 this is not something I should share. So every time that they act against that that feeling of speaking, that is constitutes as a negative choice. So what that eventually does is it creates what we would consider a block, an energetic block from their divine nature. Does that make sense?
It does. So, and I'm going to ask you, when you're talking about these blocks, we sometimes on this show call them limiting beliefs. There can be limiting beliefs, emotional blocks, things like that, things that were started when you were young. And you mentioned that you go into Akashic records. Now, I've known about Akashic records for years, but for those that don't know, can you share more about what this is? Because I think it can be a little bit like, what? For the people who don't, what's she talking about? So share with us a little more about what is this and how are you using it as a tool?
Yeah, so the Akashic Records is an energetic database that houses every action, every thought, everything that you have ever done in your soul's lifetime. Now, that doesn't mean that it's just this one lifetime. It actually goes back to the incarnation of your soul. So that can be hundreds of lifetimes. So you can imagine that it's a ton of information. Now, I've been highly trained and I've been practicing this for years. So I have the ability to really be very intentional when I enter someone's record. And again, this is really important piece is we have boundaries on what we do as practitioners. We have to get permission by the end user to make sure that they actually would like us to go into their record. So I can't just go in. So someone, for instance, came to me yesterday and say, can you just go into my ex-boyfriend's record and see what's going on for him? Because I think he's blocked and that's why he doesn't want to be together. That's not possible because there are just ethics that are in place that you have to be fully aware and grant us permission to go in. So that's just a side note. But when I go into somebody's record, okay, I have the intention of understanding one, who they are, who they are at soul level. So what is their unique energetic framework? And because I'm working in what we call the 5D, fifth dimension, let me take a step back. So quantum physics, just to take it back to science, right? So quantum physics recognizes 10 dimensional states of being. The third dimension is our body, right? It's what we're seeing, what we're feeling physically. The fourth dimension are our thoughts, our thinking mind, right? And the fifth dimension and above, so 5 through 10 is really the soul. And so with this work, I am working a lot in the fifth dimension. And what's really beautiful here is that in the fifth dimension, time and space don't exist. So when I go into somebody's record, I can actually go to the date and of when they were their soul was incarnated and understand who they are at soul level. So why is that important that I can go directly to that date? It's because before you've made any choices or had any other influences or any other things that have affected you or changed you that created a block or restriction, I can actually go back to like the baseline of who you are. And then what I do is I go to present day and I see what's in the way from them creating their financial intention, their relationship intention, like what's happening, what's happened for them, like what's coming through that's presenting itself as a block or restriction that's not allowing this flow of abundance to come to them. So that's why this work is very comprehensive and it's really powerful, especially for entrepreneurs, because as you're growing and scaling and building, you can probably understand that you're going to encounter a lot more blocks and restrictions. More blocks and restrictions present themselves as you grow. So if you can imagine, let's say you're walking down the street and you have your flashlight or your iPhone out, and you are putting on the flashlight function. So you can only see where you are, shining the flashlight. So let's imagine that a session with me is really shining the flashlight and you're able to work on what you can see. But the end goal is, 20 yards ahead. So I help you keep your vision on where you want to go. So let's say if that's making, $800,000 this year, we have that vision. I hold the container for that. And then every block and restriction that comes up with that flashlight as we're moving forward, I help you clear it and create very practical action steps to move that stuck energy to get further and further closer to that goal.
See, this I think is so critical. And it was so important that I ended up having you come in to the business program that I teach over a 6-month period, the Fired Up Entrepreneur. And what I like is I use a ton of modalities in the coaching program, tons of different tools. We always talk about the 3H. The 3H is the heart to the head to the higher self. And this piece of accessing, and we talk about universal truths, universal principles, laws, and how people have this readily available to them, but they're not using it. It's like they're being passive to it. And oh, wow, that was, a total fluke or a bluebird and all this. And it's like, you could be harnessing all of this and using it. And so my first entry into the Akashic records was probably about 3 years ago, and have continued to be fascinated, but it is truly a deep study in it. And I have taken a deep study course in it, but from a really 100% focus in it, that like you said, you have to be all in, because there's so much that can come from it. And it took me a while to realize that, and it makes sense, right? But we always are trying to make sense of everything. And when it finally clicked for me, that aha moment was, there was a point that you said, in terms of that you cut one of the cords, or you did something like that. And you're like, that's the thing. The past doesn't have to stay the past either when you get involved, because then you can kind of impact where the future is going. And I probably said that all wrong, but can you explain a little bit more when you identify something that truly could be holding the person back, and you help within the actual Akashic walls or the library or whatever you're calling it? Can you explain that? Because that is a very awesome thing that you do.
Yeah. So, when I work with people, a lot of things come through in the sense of something that blocks you, right? And so when I recognize these blocks, they're nothing to be afraid of. I actually look at them as opportunities. So they're really fun when I see them. I'm like, yes, this is a new chance to really shift things for this client. And so I do some clearing work on my end before we even hop on the call together. So that could even start to move the energy. When we're in a session as well, bringing that consciousness into what I've seen in the record, if you acknowledge, hey, this is something that's happened with your family member, this is something that came up for your brother. I remember some things came through for you that were specifically about your family. And so a lot of this stuff is quite intimate. And it's actually really profound, because you realize that there is this linkage and connection to how you're presenting yourself today in your life and your business. And a lot of it, we've kind of forget that that even happened. So it's really important. I think with you, we had an instance where there was something that was really sucking some energy from you, and we actually worked on clearing that so that you could not feel so exhausted. And you noticed a significant change from what I remember in really recouping your energy and reallocating that towards stuff that really did matter for you, and not
Well,
focusing on the things.
specifically, it's that, I'm writing a book and it's coming out in
Yeah.
April, and it's a very laborious, task. I mean, there's a lot there. And I was feeling like drained. And as you said, it was like an energy leak. And I said, I felt like it was dripping out of me, like drip, 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 drip. And then it started to flood out. And you really helped to say, all right, let's get that leak. Let's fill that tire and let's make sure it doesn't leak anymore. And I have to say, I had a resurgence in the perfect time for the book that allowed me to really get back engaged, which is terrific. And I still have it right now. I'm still incredibly like, wow, it's like coming out of me. I'm like, woo, it is going to be awesome.
I know. And I felt that too. And ever since we've been connecting more, I've also felt that energetic shift within you as well. And you also had a really brilliant idea. So, like, after I work with somebody, we do the clearing work together by bringing that consciousness around it. And then I give you some action steps as well as some clearing homework to recite. And one thing that you did was really, really beautiful. With the homework that I gave you, you ended up recording it and listening to the recording for 21 days. So, the recording the script that I give you is for you to read to yourself to really allow the processing, the clearing work to integrate in your life. And I thought that was really brilliant that you recorded it and just listened to it and included it into your morning routine. But, that's to say that you are really, this work is, yes, when you get off of a call with me, you have an energetic surge, you feel super good. But to your experience, Hilary, you did such a tremendous job, and you've had this sustainable success because you did the work yourself. So that's really key here. I set everybody up and I give you guys the tools, but if you don't implement it, if you don't activate that within you, you can only see so much growth, right? But you, Hilary, took it upon yourself to really utilize it in a very practical way, which was obviously you're seeing the results continuously. So, it's very important to make sure that you are implementing this. We have free will. So as much as I clear, as much as I do for you as a practitioner, which is a lot and very powerful, don't get me wrong, but you have the power within yourself to do this and activate it. And when you do, you can see significant changes very, really quickly.
Now, you did do something interesting. You said 21 days, I had to listen to it. And if I stopped, I'd have to start over. What was the significance of the 21 days?
The 21 days really allows that to integrate into the subconscious. So it really helps those patterns and behavior choices to really move. And then energetically, when you read it or listen to it, that's really where the blocks and restrictions start to dissipate, because they start really going into the deep layers of your consciousness. So if you forget to do it, and we always try to get you to start over and just make sure that you make this a priority, because once you start prioritizing your own energetics, your whole world will shift dramatically. And I speak from my own experience. And that's why I'm so passionate about sharing this work with people now, is because I've seen the results happen in my own life. And as I mentioned before, I love nice things. So I knew I needed to prioritize my energetic management, or else I wouldn't be able to supply myself with what I really like and what I want to do.
Well, and I have to say, for those that know me, those that have been following this for a while, people know that I don't stop at 21 days. I kept it going
Yeah.
so that it really became part of, neuroscience and the subconscious, and really making sure that it was a new habit, a new behavior I was creating. So I ate that up. I think it's an amazing process. One thing I do want to touch on though is the significant relaunch, making sure that people really understood that this was, I mean, you have a bathing suit company and you have other things that you're working on, but this switch for you, this relaunch into this new realm, can you talk a little bit about how that has been for you, the adjustment around doing such a significant, literally
Mhm.
business change?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, this is really, really even when you pose this question to me before, I had to give it a think because I had to remember what really was that significant thing that moved me. And it goes back to really trying. I was so conditioned to believe that I needed to build a business the way that everyone else was building a business. And because of that, I hired the coaches that, really wanted me to, do this hustle mentality and, get out there and do some. And I just went with it. I was okay with it because I thought that that's what I had to do. So I put in the grunt work, and I'm not saying that grunt work isn't important. I also think that it's important to work hard, but I also think that there's a distinction between working hard, doing something that really does align with who you are, and doing something that doesn't feel good, that just feels that it's not helping you become a better person. And
That's all
for a
about
couple,
the three H's. I mean, right there, it's that heart based, it's being tapped
yeah.
in. And that's exactly, you have to, because, even more so than just, the connection, it's at the soul level, as you're saying. It's so
Yes,
important.
so important. And I didn't really do the check-in on myself enough to see that this really wasn't working for me until, a couple years down the line in the coaching business. And let me just kind of explain. I was doing coaching in the sense I was doing work-life balance for corporate. And then I was also doing business strategy work because I built a swimwear brand that's all about consciousness and helping you connect to your body to feel fully in your skin while you're in a bikini. And it uses crystals and a lot of different elements that help you elevate yourself. And so I built this brand, and I built other products that I knew I had the business acumen, I had the success there, and I wanted to help people build their businesses. And so I did all the frameworks, I did all the courses, I have, a bunch of assets, but things were just not feeling really good. And so I decided to really check back in with myself and say, what is it that I really want? Why did I even start a business in the first place? And truth be told, I did a little bit of energetic work while I was living in Bali. And I have a podcast episode about it with my actual energetic trainer. And the work that he did on me, I can't even explain what it did for me as a human, as it did, like, it created a new person.
Hmm.
I After doing this work and releasing subconscious behaviors and beliefs and thoughts and all these things, I actually I aligned to my husband. Retrospectively, I probably would not have gotten him if I didn't do this
Mm.
deep inner work. So I decided, when I was reaching this pigeonhole in my business, I was like, maybe I should revisit this energy stuff. It
Mm.
worked for me before when I couldn't, find that right person for me. Maybe I should revisit this under the lens of the business. So that's exactly what I did. I found somebody who helped me in the Akashic records really refine and tune, recalibrate my business. And then he said something really profound. He's like, Emily, you should be doing what I'm doing. You are very intuitive, you're very clear, and you would do really well in this business. And I just let that mull over for a little bit. I was thinking, is this really something that I could do? Really make, like, how much money could you really do with this? Because I was still the skeptic. As much as I wanted to just really run with it, I just knew my business mind, coming from the medical industry and the corporate world, like, how could I make that work? But eventually I was just like, you know what? After checking in with Emily, after checking in on myself and saying, you know what? I really do want to go for this. This is something that does feel good.
I need to do it. And look at
this
what's
is something
happened.
that, yes. And this is something that
your silver
feels
lining
so
is
good.
that, oh my gosh, you are so aligned. It's so fabulous. And now tell everyone where you are right now.
I'm in Portugal.
Oh.
I live in Mexico. We're building a house in San Diego soon. We have so many things happening for us that are just so exciting. And it's just because I finally made peace with the fact that, yes, I can have it all. And it doesn't need to look the certain way that I thought it had to look. I don't have to be all, in my suit and tie. I don't have to be running myself dry.
I was thinking your bathing suit. I was thinking your bathing suit. You did. I don't have to be in my suit. I'm like, yes, you do. With those crystals on it. Yes, you do. Okay. So hold on. As we are wrapping up, and I just looked down, I'm like, oh my gosh, we've been talking a long time. I want to ask just a couple more questions. And these are usually the rapid fire. And are you psychic?
I'm sorry. What was that question that you cut out?
Are you? Yeah, that's funny. That's really funny when you hear this. Are you psychic?
Yes, absolutely. I think everybody is. It's really a tool that we underutilize. We know so much already. The best way I can explain this is if you are in a room and you are looking in one direction, but for some reason you feel like somebody is watching you from a different direction. Have you ever had that happen?
Mm-hmm, definitely.
For sure. Yep. That is a ping on your intuition. You can feel it. Like, it's the energy that you can feel of somebody else watching you or feeling, or, gazing at you. We all have intuitive capabilities. If we want to turn up the dial on that intuition, we absolutely have the ability to. And there's so many ways to do that. And
so good. Yeah. And you know what I like? We've talked about this before, and that's why I asked you the question, because there is a very significant tie-in between intuition and being psychic. And people are like, oh, I can't really trust my intuition, or, oh no, I'm not psychic at all. And until you build up that muscle, until you really lean into it, then you're right. You're not going to notice it because you're thinking already that you're not good at something. So that was so good. And then I always ask another question, which is, what is your favorite beauty product by name?
I am obsessed with the brand Cora. I don't know if you've heard of Cora, but it's from that Victoria's Secret model that I forget her name. She was married to Orlando Bloom, and she has this product that is this new facial lotion that is, it's all natural. And what I love about it is like this little, it's all about, what does it use? It uses the, oh my gosh, I forgot.
How are you spelling it?
Kora.
Kora, just in case people are like, I need to go out and get that right now.
Well, okay. It's like a very dense, it's very dense, and you can use it all over your face, and it just helps you glow, but it's all natural. And what I love is that it comes in this, they come in pods, so you don't have to replace the whole thing. So it's really good and eco-friendly. So you just buy these pods and pop it into the container so that they're limiting their waste within the product. So I thought that was really brilliant.
That's so awesome. And then last but not least, what does Powerhouse of Possibility mean to you?
Powerhouse of Possibility means that we are harnessing our own uniqueness in a way that serves. So, when you are utilizing that that power within you, you are feeling your best. And that really has the ripple effect, the domino effect on everything that you touch, from the person you're in line at checkout at the grocery store, or, somebody who's walking on the street. You will really decorate the world with your beautiful energy. And that is what we really need. Imagine if the world was a place where people just spilled their uniqueness and made everybody feel good because they were doing that within themselves. I mean, the world would be a completely different planet.
I love that concept. Decorate the world with your unique energy. I mean, if you think about it, if you go through life every single day that you are literally decorating the world, then you would show up very differently.
Yes. Yes.
That is so fabulous. Okay, Emily, as we wrap, how can people work with you, contact you? How do we do that?
I'm always on Instagram, and you can find me at It's Emily Thomas, or you can head to my new website at emilykthomas.com. I look forward to seeing you guys there. And it's such a pleasure to connect with you, Hillary. I just think that you are so amazing and a powerhouse yourself. So you are living proof that when you do show up in your own truth, that you can make your dreams happen.
Emily, so much fun connecting. What an absolutely enormous amount of information for people on such a fascinating subject. And for those, again, head on over. You can see her on, Instagram, or go to emilykthomas.com. Check out her new website. Check out how you can work with her directly. Emily, take care until the next time we talk.
We'll see you soon. Yes. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Silver Lined Relaunch. If I said something today that resonated with you, will you please head over to iTunes right now and leave us a 5-star review and share this episode with others and help them find the silver linings as well. And don't forget, you can have immediate access to the show notes, any giveaways, and the links to those amazing beauty products at therelaunchco.com/podcast. Until next time, there's always a silver lining, and now is the time to hit the reset button to relaunch those transitions into transformations.